Tippy time, my damies. Oh, my hair is funky. And welcome to episode 50 of Reviewedly Interrupted with me, your host, Pootie Tang. I want to start things off by saying my pal has got these shirts going and everything. It's pretty cool. Check out the back. Yeah, you see the back there? See it? Pootie Industries Inc. and a little dancing me and shit. It's pretty cool. It's like there's a link in the thing. You can go get a shirt if you want. I don't know, it's up to you. It's all good. Like, all I get out of it is I got this sweet shirt that I am going to wear during every video. Because how often do you get your face on a shirt? My face is on the shirt twice. I take no money from it. Like, my whole video thing, my whole thing I'm doing is completely, I make zero money off this shit. This is just all for entertainment. Okay. Now, skipping past that, what movie am I going to do for 50? Oh my God, is it going to be some classic that like everybody is just like, oh, this movie is like a classic horror movie or a classic action or just some movie that everybody's just like, oh man, yes. Human Centipede. That's going to be my 50th episode. That's the one I'm doing on this one. Human Centipede. So here we go, part one, the physical media. Of course, I snagged it up on Blu-ray. I mean, why would I not? You know, it's pretty basic. It's nothing crazy. There's not even like an insert, like, you know, cheese ball little insert that they used to put in DVDs that would be like, these are the names of the chapters and a picture on the other side or something like that, you know? Nothing major, but I mean, it's got some special features that are going to be pretty cool to go through, especially the director commentary. I think I've watched like everything except for the director's commentary, so it'll be pretty cool because Tom Six is nuts. He's fucking hilarious. But I mean, I do want to get that like the movie Centipede where it's just like all three of them just cut together. Just watch it all in a row. It'd be fucking nuts. It'd be great. But yeah, I mean, there's not really like I didn't really see any like crazy big additions other than, you know, that one. There's this cool one that has like a glowing, like a neon green case. I was like, ooh, that looks cool. The collector me was like, oh, why not get a copy in a neon green case too? Oh, but yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch this movie and talk about it because it's a controversial movie just in the fact that it's like when it first came out, everybody was like, oh shit, you know, and then slowly there's like, it's one of those movies that it was like everybody was here and then it just started going like this. Like as far as like horror fans, you know, people were like, oh, I've seen more hardcore movies. Yeah, that doesn't mean this isn't hardcore. It's just not as hardcore. I don't know. We'll get into all that after I watch it and we start talking about the movie and shit. But yeah, so I'm gonna go watch this and come back and talk about it. Reviewedly Interrupted. Yeah, I'll bring that up again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a. Well, as always, the Human Centipede is just an uplifting classic where after you watch it, you're just like, hope. That's what you feel. You're like, hope. You just, it's like watching Andy Dufresne climb out of the sewer pipe in Shawshank Redemption. You're just like, ah. That's the feeling you get from Human Centipede. If you're fucking insane. This movie, I really like this movie. I like the whole trilogy. I do want to pick up, what is it called? Like the movie Centipede, where it's just all of them cut together. So it's just one long movie. That would be very cool to watch, you know, without having to like watch it and then pop in the other disc and everything. Just watch it straight in a row. It'd be like pretty darn interesting because because of how he kind of does the endings and beginnings of the movies. I can see how you can make them flow and it makes one long centipede, which is actually pretty neat. But we're talking about first sequence here. This movie came out around the same time that like Hostel came out and Saw. It was around the same kind of time. I'm not sure if the time frame is actually like really close, but I just remember this movie coming out like um, maybe a year or two after Hostel or something. Like it came out very, very close to Hostel, and this has that same vibe where it's just like it's straight dread, you know. Um, they get kind of gonzo as they go along, but this one stays straight dread, which is great, and like along the same lines as like Hostel, where it was like two dudes that were foreigners in a foreign land going, all of a sudden getting meeting up with foreigners that are saying, "Hey, you should go check this shit out," and then shit goes awry. This one, two ladies, of course, and it's like it starts off so very like 90s horror like. They're just in the hotel. Oh yeah, we met this guy and he said that there's this party at this club at this place, but then they're way off on a mountain road. They get totally lost. They're in a foreign country. Car breaks down. They meet a creepy German guy, like while they're broke down and all this stuff, and it just kind of has this total like kind of 90s feel where it's just like, okay, well, these people just happen to be here doing this shit. And all of a sudden, they're just doing their thing, living their life, having fun. They're in Europe, blah, blah, blah. And then it takes a turn, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. But what makes this great is it's not just like, oh, they're captured by a homicidal maniac who's going to like rape and torture them. And like this is just a rape and torture movie or something, No. He is an insane scientist. He's not just going to torture them and shit. No. It's not even about torture. He is just like absolutely insane and has this total idea in his head of this insane procedure, and he's just gonna do it. He's like, fuck it, And Dieter Laser's fucking nuts in it. He, like, his acting in this one more than the third one really reminds me a lot of like Klaus Kinski. That intensity where it's like even when he's being chill, there's this intensity, but then when he's being intense, it's like holy fuck. Dude's intense. And another thing I really like about this one and like how it's set up is like, okay, they're in Germany. Crazy doctor's German, speaks some English. And you got the two American chicks. They speak English. So it's like they can all communicate. But he puts the Japanese guy who doesn't speak English, who nobody speaks Japanese, puts him in the front. So all communication between all of them, as far as verbal, is out the window. There is no more verbal communication between all of them. Sure, German guy can say stuff in English, but the chicks, they can't respond. The convo is out the window. They're sucking ass, like literally. They are sucking ass. So, like, it's just, there's no communication now. Everything is done, even though he's talking to him, he's communicating with them. They can't verbalize back, and it just creates this weird thing where it's like, no matter what they want to say, they are absolutely 100% unable. The chicks, they are absolutely 100% unable. And the Japanese guy, he can say whatever he wants. Fucking nobody knows what he's saying. None of them know what he's saying. He has no idea what any of the rest of them are saying. So, it's like this really cool thing that he put in there where it's just like, they're interacting, but they can't really communicate with each other. Only he can communicate to them, but only so far, it's really trippy. And I thought that was a really like intelligent. You might be like human centipede, sewing lips to buttholes doesn't sound very intelligent, but as far as like a story, like a storyline, a plot, just some kind of facet of the movie or whatever in there, that's pretty intelligent. That's pretty smart. I love the last line that the Japanese guy says too. It's an insane world we live in, isn't it? And it's just, wow, and he hella cuts his throat. That is some great effects there. Great effects. And another great effect that if you like on the first watch, if you haven't seen the movie and you watch it on the first watch, you're probably not going to notice it. I didn't really notice it the first time. The second time I started to notice it because the first time I get into a movie, I would say most of the time I'm just, okay, I'm jumping in, I'm going along for the ride. That's it. You know, I'm not really looking for details unless it's like a sequel or something connected to something else. Maybe I'll like try to find little Easter eggs or just different little stuff, different little details in it. But most of the time I'm just like, okay, let's see what this motherfucker's about. Then after that, in subsequent viewings, I will like start to notice more. And one thing that like I really picked up on from watching, like from multiple viewings of it, is the friend that dies. That's the third part, the one on the end. That's just the one that dies, man. You'd think that the one in the middle would be the one to go, but nope, it's the one on the end. Well, if you watch, her color just slowly changes. It's not drastic. It's not all of a sudden she's like, you know, pink and healthy, and then all of a sudden she's white. You know, no, it's like slow and gradual. But at the end there, her skin is just like this gray color because she's just so like diseased, infected, and dying, you know, and just like her skin just looks like death, you know. And what's cool is it didn't go like over the board. It didn't go overboard and get like super white or get like a bluish tint like how like sometimes they'll use, you know, and you'll get like kind of bluish. It wasn't over the top. It was very, it kind of just, you watch it and it blends, and it's like very noticeable at the very end there, but it doesn't linger on it. You only really see it like her color change really on the close up of an arm. One time when it's like panned back a little bit more and you can see more of her body, you know, when it's going up and out the window and shit. It's like then you can really notice it and it's like, oh fuck. But like I thought that was really cool too, you know, because it's very subtle. As it goes on, you do start to notice her color kind of changing, you know, when like the one friend's grabbing her hand and arm, and you know, and she's sick, and you can see her color is just getting drained out of her because she is dying, you know. And that's what it's like to just be the middle class of America. You just suck ass until you die. And your friend might cry a little bit, mostly because her lips are like sewn to a Japanese guy's butthole, which would make anybody cry, honestly. I don't know, maybe you're into that, you fucking weirdo. Maybe that wouldn't make you cry. Maybe that'd make you giggle. I don't know. But we're not going to get into that. That's for you and your therapist to go over. And yes, I do think your mother should have hugged you maybe a little bit more growing up, and then maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So thanks, mom viewer. Thanks a lot. Now this is a whole thing, and I didn't even want to get into it this time. I was going to wait till next time, but now here we are. But no, I love the pacing of the movie too, and it's like it never gets like really super fast paced. Like, oh my god! I mean, there is some action parts, but it's like the action is just, you know, she just runs to one room. Like after she gets upstairs, she's trying to go here, she's trying to go there, and then she gets trapped in the one room. You know, and it's like even when she goes down to the pool, and then it's just there. You know, it's like the intensity at the pool isn't really intense. He's like talking about how he's gonna cap her, but it's very like it's like this monotone fucking vibe, you know, and but it's just dread the whole time, and like the sound and all the like how the music is very just subtle and in the back, and it's not in your face. There's not a big soundtrack going on, which is pretty cool. You know, it keeps the sound really fresh as to what's going on the screen, and it's not like there's a bunch of like gross sounds like squishy sounds and fart sounds and stuff. That, you know, he does have the one moment where he's like, oh my stomach, oh shit, you know, but it doesn't get like out there with sound. You know, it keeps it this movie is very like it holds back in a way that you don't feel like it's holding back, because what it's holding back is just so intense with, like, you know, what's going on in the movie, the plot of the movie and everything, that it's like it's still like intense, but it's not like so in your face, you know. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then as far as like the pacing, you know, just what happens to him, you know, when you see when he all of a sudden is like he's just very clinical about it. He's a fucking surgeon, he's a doctor, you know. So he's just like, all right, so motherfuckers, as you can see, I got you strapped down to these gurneys or these hospital beds. And yeah, this is basically what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to outline it for you very clinically, you know, just go step by step. I'm going to speak very clearly and succinctly so you completely understand the absolute atrocities that I'm going to perform upon your person. Okay, does anybody have any questions? No, good. Here we go. So, yeah, everybody's going to eat shit except for this guy. Hey, you know, and like as it dawns on them what's going to happen, there are different reactions. I like even the one part when he sedates the Japanese guy because he's getting ready for the first round of surgeries and stuff. And then as he's sedating the first chick and everything, she's just like, just the tone of her voice and how she says it. She's like, I want my mommy. And it's just like, oh, dude. That's just like so like, oh, shit. You know, just someone in that moment and just, they're just so scared and just everything that they just like, they retreat back to where just like, I want my mommy, you know. It's just like, oh, so fucking brutal, you know. And I really like this movie, you know. It's one of those movies that we'll talk about the divisiveness I was kind of talking about earlier, where, you know, when it first came out, it was pretty shocking. You know, I mean, you had some movies before then, like I was talking about Hostel and Saw. I think right around this time when this came out, maybe a little after, there was like the remake of Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave. They came out maybe a little after this, right around the same time. This says like 2010, so it's got to be somewhere around there. Like, there wasn't a ton of like the grindhousey exploitation, fucking super violent, super gory, just dread, horrible movies, you know, what people called like fucking, you know, like murder porn and all this other kind of shit, or torture porn. That's what they call it, torture porn. This is torture porn. They're just torturing people, you know. And it's just like there was movies like this back in the day. Lucio Fulci, all these fucking guys made like these grindhouse movies that were ultra violent and just all this kind of sick gore effects and all this kind of shit. And, you know, there were still some movies here and there, you know, especially a lot of shot on video stuff. Like, you know, I'll be doing more vids of that. But like, all of a sudden, you know, there's these movies that started popping up of directors who are fans of that shit, like Eli Roth and everything. He's a total fan of all that stuff. So it's like, you know, the Human Centipede harkens back to that, but it was one of the ones where it was like, this isn't a popcorn flick where you're going like, where sometimes it's like you're wincing and going, oh shit, you know, oh dude, did you see that? That was fucking crazy. Oh no, this isn't one of those. Hostel, maybe I would say Hostel. It's got some pretty wild moments where you're like, oh no fucking way, you know. Not the Human Centipede, but this is like what. When it's almost like horror cinema got flipped on its head again. There's always been like the exploitation, sexploitation stuff, but like stuff that was popping up more like in the mainstream where people were hearing about it, you know? Like Eli Roth did fucking Cabin Fever, you know, and so that one, you know, it had some stars in it and shit like that. Some I don't know, at the time I guess there were major names, middle names, you know, maybe not minor, not major, but like there were names, you know. And you know, it kind of got his name out there and stuff like that. But like Hostel was just like, oh my god, you know, a lot of doors opening in the cinema where it's like, are people gonna watch this? You know, it's like Hollywood kind of started straying away from that shit, you know, wanting to be more like respectable, you know, even though there is like some good Hollywood shit. I'm not biased where I'm like, no, if it's Hollywood, I stay away from it. Independent all the way. No, I watch it all, man. I don't care. And fucking Human Centipede is just that new generation of exploitation, torture porn, fucking shit that was hardcore, grindhousey, violent, you know. And it, if the killer in this movie was less seen, it would be very Giallo-esque. And I just love, like, I just, like, I'm going to go back to the pacing, the progression. Like, just how, you know, it shows him doing the surgery, and the surgery is just so gnarl. You know, I love how they throw the surgery in there. That's where that, like, you know, that real grindhousey gore, when he's like cutting a wedge out of butt cheek and everything like that, snipping, like pulling teeth out, snipping knee thingies, knee deals, not needles. Although needles are involved in this movie at points, but and then just, you know, their recovery, and he's starting to get him to like move, and just like, you know, and it just, this goes on for like days, where it's like these motherfuckers were just doing their thing, and all of a sudden, poof, like at the beginning, when he grabs that trucker guy, you look out, you see all these cars going by. There's just it's not like bumper to bumper traffic, but there's consistent traffic. There's people, there's humanity, there's life right there. There's all these people. And he's off to the side. How many times have you pulled over at a rest stop and there's like one other car there, and you're like, oh, you know? And like, he just fucking tranks that dude and fucking takes him home, you know? And it's like, just that opening scene is so great because it's just like right there. Like, the people's saving grace is other people seeing shit happening and saving them right there. And he's just snagging people up. And then the same thing with the girls, you know? They're just out in BFE, and he's just disappeared, you know? One thing, like, you could tell the motherfucker's crazy when he's like, well, cop showed up here. I'm pretty sure that somebody knows that they came here. I mean, why wouldn't they tell somebody or whatever, because they're cops, and that's generally like, hey, we're going to go check out this guy or something, you know? But he's like, you know what? Fuck it, though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drug them, and I'm going to sew their lips to some assholes, too. It's like, he's just absolutely insane. He's all about this fucking thing, this centipede, making this centipede. You know, this human centipede. He is so fucking far gone, you know? And I just thought that was fucking wild. And then the ending is so great, too, because it's a bummer ending, dude. Although, okay, I'm trying to think of which order I should talk about this ending in. Let's go with, well, let's just talk about the ending. Okay. Everybody's fucking dead except for Chick, who's sewn in between two people. She's the only one left alive. Fucking friend, infection, died. She's attached to her butthole. Japanese guy slits his throat. She's attached to his dead butthole. Fucking doctor, shot in the head, he's dead. Fucking one cop shot, dead. One cop stabbed in the neck, dead. Everybody fucking dead except for her. And she's just left there. Like, what the fuck now? What do I do? What the fuck do I do? What you can expect is you can think like, what's going to happen is that eventually people are going to go looking for those cops, and she'll probably get rescued, and she'll have some weird scars that will be a really shitty story to have to tell at cocktail parties when people ask, hey, how'd you get those little scars on your face? Well, I had my lips sewn to a Japanese businessman's asshole for a little while I was traveling in Germany, and, you know, when in Rome, you know, but in reality, that's what would probably happen. Of course, those cops might not have went there by themselves. They also would have had a couple other patrolmen around or something. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But if you look at just what's in the screen, what's just happening at the end of this movie, everyone's dead. Imagine it. Imagine that. You're just partying it up in a foreign country. meet somebody. Hey man, fucking, it's gonna be fun. Hey, I'm here to like have a great time. Okay, yeah. Get lost. Fucking. Why did they go? Why did they go walking through the goddamn woods? There's a road right there. If they're afraid of like the weird, like horny old German guy, you can just walk off the road, but still like next to the road or whatever. But they're just like straight through the woods. Hey, I have no idea where the fuck anything is. What we should do is we should go traipsing straight through the forest. Let's just hope we either find a water source which will lead us to civilization or a house, and and they just all of a sudden they're just whisked away and just taken and thrown into this like drugged and waking up fucking strapped to a goddamn hospital bed. That would be fucking frightening. And just what happens to them. And then after all that, the only other person she knows is fucking dead. Like everybody else is dead and she's just absolutely alone, alive, living like this, stuck. That is a total bummer ending. It's so great. And it's just the crying and it pans up. It just, the ending is so great. This movie is brilliant in its depressingness. It could be divisive. Some people think it just sucks. They're like, yeah, it's just trying to be shocking and everything else. Yes, of course. And if you've ever seen interviews with Tom Six, he's a goofball. The guy is a total goofball. He's got some other movie I gotta fucking find. And he was supposed to be coming out with another one too. He's got some shit that I'm like, I'm into his shit because it's weird. So, but if you really watch it, it's actually a very well done movie. Like I said, the pacing, the tone, the colors, how everything's just kind of like bright sometimes outside, sometimes inside, but then it gets dark, like even in that in the operating room, very bright at first, and then over time it just gets darker and darker. Just the whole house gets darker and darker and everything, and yeah. So like I said, I know I've looked at behind the scenes, deleted scene, all that shit, but I'm gonna watch the special features again, and I'm gonna watch it with the director commentary because it'll be very interesting to hear what Tom Six has to say. So, the unrated director's cut of The Human Centipede, first sequence. I love this movie. So I'm gonna go watch these special features, and then I'll come back, yap a little bit about them, and wrap this bitch up. So yeah, I'm gonna shock my shirt a little bit again. I mean, I actually really like this shirt. I think it's kind of cool. Like I said, I've never had my face on a t-shirt before, and my face is on a t-shirt. All right, why not, man? You only go around once. All right, so special features, Human Centipede, first sequence. All right, Human Centipede special features. So, like most of the special features, they're a little basic. The deleted scene, like you watch it and you're like, yeah, it could have been played very madcap and crazy if it was thrown in there. But actually, this is one time where I'm like, yeah, I mean it's a neat scene, but it totally would have fucked up the pacing and everything else of the movie because the movie is like a really good pace. So I can see why that was deleted. It could have been like thrown in and done in a way that would have been very interesting and added to the like weirdness of the movie. But it definitely, the movie isn't lacking because it's not in there. Behind the scenes was kind of like a little bit of a basic behind the scenes. It was mostly just like they were kind of filming what was going on, but there was no like, hey, yeah, and there was no like real interview talky shit. Except for when they did the director interview. It was a short little director interview. It wasn't like a super long one, but it was okay. The casting tapes just showed like, it was like a little snippet of just a little bit of the casting, so that was okay. The Foley session, alternate posters, and the director's commentary was actually really good. I was really, really happy to finally listen to the director's commentary because he didn't drop like major knowledge bomb things about the movie, like where all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? but there were some like cool little like nuggets of info in there, and just the way he talks about his film, you could tell that like he enjoys making these kind of films because they're just so like crazy to him. It's like his art, like being a bipolar dude myself and someone who swings sometimes would be like, well, what's the most extreme shit in this little category? Let's see how far we can go with it until it gets to a point where it's like, all right, you know, because like there's some crazy shit out there. I mean, even some of my movies, it's like there's some even crazier movies. I'm just like, I don't know if I don't think I want to go there. Even though I got a Serbian film, there's like other movies I'm like, nah. But he just loves like this kind of genre where it's like really kind of in your face, like how he talks, like because at the time of doing the commentary and the interview, he was already like working on the second one. And so just the way he talks about it, he's like, oh man, this movie's gonna be so fucking nuts. Like he's having fun with what he's doing, you know, just being like wild and crazy and putting some shit out there that's like, bet you ain't seen nothing like this, motherfuckers. It's like it's unique in a way where even though it's like he even talks about specifically putting in like horror cliches, like certain movie cliches, like he did on purpose to offset the absolute like psycho ass to mouth movie that's that it is, you know. And like just I thought it was really cool, you know, the commentary and just how he talks about Dieter Laser and working with him and just different stuff and interplay. It's like you do get a little bit more like about the film than, you know, even the behind the scenes and the small interview. The watching the director's commentary, you get more of a feel of what was going on in the movie because like this movie was like when it came out, everybody was like, what in the fuck? Even people that weren't even into horror movies were like, did you hear that there's this movie called The Human Centipede where they're like sewing lips to assholes? So like everybody was talking about it. It's been played on. There was a fucking South Park episode which was fucking hilarious, like, you know, and so it became a cult classic already, you know, just with this unique, bizarre, twisted fucking plot. It's unique derangement. But yeah, so episode 50, The Human Centipede, I enjoyed watching it again. I've seen it a few times. It's like it's almost like a dark comedy at times, but it's just a very well crafted movie for the subject matter. You'd think with the subject matter it would just be a real like low budget, maybe just not well done or something. The acting maybe bad, something, but no, everything. The acting was really great. The actors did a fucking amazing job. They sold this movie. Sure, the concept was there, which was enough to pique like most people's interest, but their acting in this movie was so good. It really sold the movie. Like if these people weren't that good of actors, people wouldn't have came back and watched it a second time that weren't like already fans of bizarre horror like moi and whoever is probably watching this going, fuck yeah, you know. So like really kudos to the actors and shit. And yeah, I have fun watching The Human Centipede because it is so fucking weird. And I've signed your pity on the runny kind all about this shit, you know. There's only so much signing on the pity to the runny kind of the ass to mouth that you can do before it's done. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Episode 50, Human Centipede, Reviewedly Interrupted. On the shirt, got my face on a shirt. It's weird. My face is on a shirt. But like, to be time my Damies, and until next time, episode 51, we'll see what's happening on 51. But the Human Centipede, and that's over, and that's that, and there we go, and there's the Human Centipede, and it's zooming in, and now it's turning really